Yeah, baby. What's up, Silence to Talk fam? We're back with Kyle and Dustin.
That's right. What's up, man?
Got a question for you, bro.
What?
Are you nervous about this episode?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I could see it.
We recorded, this is our fourth attempt.
Fourth
at the beginning
take
of
at the
this
very
thing.
beginning, a very, very beginning, and we can't even get it right.
So I was thinking about the Dangerous Prayers book, that I've been talking about on the podcast, previous podcast Craig Rochelle wrote. It's really good, man. Thinking about something dangerous we did today, bringing our wives on the podcast.
Yeah, baby. So we got Shauna
What's
and
up?
Jen.
Hello.
Welcome to Silence to Talk.
Thanks.
So these guys have been partners with us now for a while. We've been talking about having this episode for a long time, and it finally came around.
It's funny because when we think we're going to do it, we have something that happens during the week and we're just like, this might not be a good time to do it. And honestly, we just need to roll.
We're figuring
See
out
what
there ain't never a good time to do it. So you
No.
might as well just rip it out.
Yeah. And I'm looking at them right now and y'all, they look real cute in their headphones. I'm liking this look. It's good. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
How are
nervous?
a little.
Jen's
I know
nervous.
Jen is a
nervous.
little
Yes.
nervous.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so we thought we would, we wanted to at least have a direction so that the girls weren't too freaked out on what we're going to talk about. Because Dustin and I, like I said, we don't ever really have a plan, and that's not always best for guests. But today we thought we would kind of focus on parenting. I know you guys, you got a kid that's going to be 13
Oh,
here
boy.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so that's a scary age. I'm thinking of I literally told Hayden, my daughter, she's 9. Just wait till because she's all about me, all about dad. And she thinks I'm cool and stuff. I'm like, wait till you're 13 and you're not going to want anything to do with me. And she's like, whatever.
See, and I don't know if girls and boys are different in that way or not. I don't know if we'll see with Evie here in the next few years, but man, we got a 9-year-old little girl and a 13-year-old little boy, and man, it is a struggle. Me and Jen struggle daily parenting, and I tell you right now, it's one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. And I know you could probably say the same, Jen, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is very scary. And I feel like, what I kind of want to get into was, and I talked about earlier, was, our walk with faith and coming into faith and carrying that over into parenting. Because like I was telling you earlier, Shauna, to me, God is my father. You know what I mean? And you can implement a lot of things from the Bible and from what he teaches to our children. And I was reading that actually just before I was telling Jen before this, it shows that there was a statistic that came out. It was 4 out of 5 children,
Teenagers.
or
wasn't
teenage
it? Yeah.
children, yes, follow their parents' faith, like their whatever religion they're in or whatever faith they have.
Yep.
So it's pretty strong in parenting to be that responsibility to push your kid in a good direction. So
I feel like even if they go away for a little bit, they eventually kind of circle back around to it, which it's always important to be.
And I think just continuing to show them the way and continue to keep that door open for them without pushing them too much to push them away from it, I think is a hard balance as well.
oh yeah, because I'm sure there's people out there that have been pushed away because their parents have been real hardcore on them.
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Well, and you want your kid to have authentic faith.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that's tough. So you got to kind of steer them in the direction, but not hold them to the fire.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done. So our daughter, as you know, because you baptized her, she got baptized, Evie. But we've been wanting Boston to get baptized, and we haven't pushed it at all, man. We're waiting for him to make that decision, and it's a decision you have to make for yourself. That's what the whole purpose of it is.
Yeah.
It's not a dedication. It's them making that decision. So
Yeah, it's cool too, man.
yeah.
Back when Evie got baptized, how did Boston take that? Do you remember?
I think he was pretty excited for her. He thought it was really cool that she made that choice, and he was proud of her. And we mentioned to him at that point too. We said, you could do it if you want, and he said no. And we were like, okay, but that needs to be your decision for sure. He was really excited for her though, and it was fun to watch him support her in that. we kind of thought it would open a door a little bit more for him. But like Dustin said, we want it to be his choice. And anytime baptisms come up in our church, we'll mention it to him. And if he doesn't want to, then that's fine, because I think that's not something that you can do for somebody.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we could tell when Evie got baptized, like she brought it to us.
Yeah.
We never even mentioned it to her. She was so excited.
Yeah, that's
And I
awesome.
think, Kyle, you can attest to how cool of an experience it was
Yeah,
just
it was,
seeing her
like,
come out of that water.
Well, seeing her walk into the building, I just remember like the feeling of that I get to baptize her today. You know, it's so super cool. So I remember like waiting for her at the front door when she came in to meet her there. And she had like this confidence about her. There was something different, dude. Like,
Oh, for sure.
like God, like the Holy Spirit was in her, man. Cause I'm like, I just, you know how kids are. There was something different, man. She was,
I'll tell you
that
this.
day she was like locked on.
So Evie is a very anxious kid, man. Like one of the most anxious kids I know. I mean, she just, everything worries her. She worries about everybody and everything, little or big. And that morning I didn't hear one like worry or, oh, I'm worried about this or that. Like there was no worry. It was just like, I'm doing this and it's on, you know what I mean? So it was a different morning, and it was a very cool moment. It was awesome.
It was a special day.
It was.
The question I have for you guys, so like they've grown up in the church because you've always kind of gone to church. And, you know, we shared your testimony, Dustin.
So we started going to church when Boston was a baby.
That's when we
right?
really consistently started going, when he was right after we had Boston.
Yeah, so it's pretty much everything that she knows, at least, you know. What has changed in your parenting now that you've kind of taken that next step of faith? Because like in the last couple of years now, you're just turning it on, you know, because, you know, of us hooking up and really pushing each other to get a little bit more bold and strong in our faith and growing. And I know that's changed you as a parent. And now how does that change your parenting style, if it changed at all? Or how do you now look at like Boston, trying to get him doing the right things? You know, because you guys aren't the casual Christian anymore. You know, you're taking that next step.
Yeah.
And I was asking you, you know, earlier about like Boston. Do you feel like, man, you wish you would have done some things different or whatever? Or like, I don't know. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, that's a heavy question, but the 3, 4, 5 years ago parenting to where I'm at now is like a 180. Like, I was a big yeller. I yelled. That's how I grew up, you know, as a kid. Mm-hmm. Yelling, discipline, hard discipline. And I knew that she grew up a little different. You know, Jen grew up a little different parenting wise, you know, and I mean, she still had discipline and with her parents and stuff, but it wasn't near what I had. But I knew I didn't want to carry that over into my kids, but it still came out in me, which is very hard, you know, when you're in the heat of the battle and you're like, you know, you're frustrated with your kid and that's the first thing you go to if that's what you knew.
It just becomes natural because that's what you know.
That generational stuff is crazy.
That's what you remember.
I'll tell you, it's one of those things that I over and over with Jen, like, I need to change this. This needs to change. And then as I started, you know, growing in my faith and like realizing like, this is no way to be. Same with work, you know, the work conversations that we've had. It's the same thing, but with parenting.
Do you feel like God has changed your nature?
It's your heart.
Yeah,
your heart and
posture.
It's you know, I still get that frustration. That doesn't go away. You know, the frustration levels don't go away. It's how you react and deal with them at that point. Because if you show that to your children, like, I'm screaming at you all day, or, you know, grab you and put you in your room, you know what I mean? Like, do you want that for them, you know, when they're a parent? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just teaching
it's
that.
A generational cycle.
Like Shauna just said. Yes.
Well, and I think like Dustin said earlier, when you really start thinking about your parenting and how our father parents us, the two things that always come to my mind are grace and patience. Mm-hmm. Like, those are two things I did not have a lot of with my kids 5-6 years ago when they were little. And it's really hard to look back at that and know, and like Dustin said, he's a yeller, I'm a reactor, which turns into yelling. And I would constantly react, and I would have very little patience and very little grace for my kids. And I wish I would have given them that from a very small age, but just probably in the last 3 or 4 years, that's two things that Dustin and I, the yelling, the patience, and the grace, that we've really, really, really tried very, very hard to work on, because we look at the Father and how he has grace and patience with us, and we can keep going back to him. And we want our kids to keep coming back to us. And when we are patient with them, and when we have grace for them, and we can continually tell them that, like, it's okay, we know you're going to mess up, we can try again. Yeah. I think that's going to help them give it back to you as well. They give us more grace and patience now, where when we were yelling at them and reacting to them, they were yelling at us and reacting to us as well. And I think finding that in our faith and realizing, like Dustin said earlier, that like we need to be more like him in our parenting. Yeah. I think it's been huge for our...
Well, and that's the whole purpose of being a Christian, is modeling your Father. Yeah. You know, Jesus Christ, and modeling the way he did. We have a model to go after. Yep. And that's him, and how he didn't have kids, but he did have disciples, which are, and everybody is his kid. Yeah. So it is a way.
Oops, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, it's hard too to be like the emotionally mature one. Like, this little 7, 8, 9-year-old person should not be eliciting these types of reactions out of us. But it's so hard to not jump in on that chaos when they don't really know how to separate that yet. They just don't have, their brains haven't matured. And I feel like that was a problem for me, as I was jumping in on the chaos of the moment instead of kind of rising above it and saying, okay, I got to figure out how to settle this down instead of like blow it up.
Yeah,
and that's,
for sure. Well, and I've noticed too, me and you have talked about this a lot. Me and you are similar parenting wise. Like we're the strong hands. These two here are the lovers, and
there's got to be one
the kids go to gravitate to them because we're the discipliners. And
for sure.
Which is also biblical. Like, discipline is necessary for sure. And you have to discipline, and you have to let your children fail, which is another thing that I've had a really hard time with. Like, I don't like to see my kids sad or mad or upset, and I don't like to see them fail. Yeah. But all those things are so necessary in growth and in life. Yes. And the older Boston gets, the more I realize I didn't let him fail enough, or I did too much for him. Yeah. Because the older he gets, the more he doesn't hold himself accountable or take responsibility for things that I'm like, darn it, that's another thing that I wish I would have. But parenting is just one of those things. You never know if you're doing too much or not enough, or...
You never stop learning.
It's a constant worry.
It is.
For sure.
And when you figure something out, things change.
Amen. That's for sure.
We hit another age of life, a season of maturity, and you're like, ooh, I got to readjust.
The one thing that I noticed, at least with us, and just talking about the before and after really going after God, was for me... Before, I kind of looked at Shauna as the spiritual leader in the family, like I was just I was the casual Christian, like we talk about, I'm just kind of like doing the thing. And I just looked up to Shauna when it came to like spirituality and just being a good person, and I got to the point where, as I started growing my faith, and I realized that's not how God designed it to be, and 100%. I'm supposed to be leading my family in that, and I need to be the head of the household, and I started to notice, once I started to take the lead in that, it was kind of cool, because like naturally Shauna just kind of fell in line with that, because like that's what she wanted, and that's how God designed it to be. And things just seem to work out a little bit better when the man is like leading his family and leading his household in a godly manner.
Yeah. And there would be times too, because like Hayden, if discipline comes from Kyle, she is like devastated, like so quick. And for me, she's like, I do not give a crap what you're saying.
I hear this all the time.
I know. So sometimes I would have to go to Kyle and be like, hon, I need your help on this. Like, she's probably only going to listen if you speak up. But then one time, it's very few and far between that he gets like actually frustrated with her. It happens to me all the time, but he just has so much more grace. And one time he was actually getting a little bit frustrated with her and raised his voice, and you could just see it in her face. She was like, she didn't know what to do. And I said, hun, I was like, you have got to be the soft one. I'm like, you have to stay the soft one somehow. I know you're so irritated right now, but she's not used to that from you. So let me kind of put my bad guy shoes on, and
good
you
cop,
just,
bad cop.
yes, you just be that soft place for her. And that's something I think we've always, cause we were married close to 9 years before we had Hayden. So we had a ton of time to talk about how we wanted to parent, like different friends, taking from them what we wanted to do and how we grew up and all that kind of stuff. And so we've always been pretty good at like being a united front. And if there's one thing that one of us did that we didn't necessarily care for, still be in the united front, like in front of her, but then afterwards saying, he'd be like, hey, I thought you were a little too hard on her. Or I'm like, hey, I thought you were a little too soft on her, stuff like that. So I think just how you treat your spouse too, like not only being a united front when it comes to parenting, but just any other interaction during the day, like they're watching all of it. Like, are you being kind and are you giving hugs and affection and just respect and they're just soaking all that in and they don't even know it, And so we've just been trying to really
one of the biggest things that I notice is that is helpful is modeling what you're trying to teach your kids. And so like what we do, and I do frequently, is like I'll ask Hayden for forgiveness. Like I'll say sorry for the way I acted or something like that and ask for forgiveness. And we pray every night, out loud. We try to get her to pray, but she's still kind of shy about it. She does it, but like, just trying to model those things, but like living our life that way too. Like we're not just doing prayer at bedtime. She's seeing us pray over people at church or out in public. Yep. The other day I was praying over someone at the grocery store, seeing it modeled, and I remember when she was younger, she hasn't done it recently, but like I loved it so much because the innocence of a child, I remember one time at church in the lobby and she heard of someone in children's ministry that was like, it was something really silly that they got hurt or something. And she came running to me to tell me, like, we need to go pray for her. Like, you need to come over here and pray for her. And it was like something you'd never pray for.
She stepped her toe.
Yeah, like it was just like something.
Completely
and I was like, you know what? We're going to go do it. Because like we gotta model this,
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking that was just so cool. And I'm like, okay, out of all the mistakes, so we're doing something right,
Well, and that's it. Yeah. So we talk all the time, and me and Jen, and we talk about our parenting, like, oh, man, what are we doing wrong, and what can we change? And I'm glad we do that similar thing where you pull to the side and she'd be like, hey, you could have said something a little different there. And I'd be like, yeah, I probably could have.
I feel like it took us a while to get there, though.
I know.
Yeah.
Like early
100%.
on in our parenting, I was very bad about, because Dustin, going back to like the way we used to parent, Dustin would get a little excited sometimes, and I didn't love the way it was coming off to the kids, so I would defend the kids in front of him and in front of the kids,
which hard not to
and
do.
it's really hard not to. And I've been trying to be very mindful of that as well, because I've realized that if something was going to happen, they'd be like, Mom, Dad said this, or Mom, Dad said that, and then they were pitting us against each other.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we've, the last several years as well, have had to really flip a switch on that, because I feel like that has not been healthy either. And he would get so mad at me, rightfully so, because I was calling him out in front of the kids. So there are times now that I have to turn around and walk away.
Yep.
And say something later.
Yeah.
But I have found, he appreciates, but I found that now the kids know, like, that we're a team, and that they can't do that to us, and that we're going to be on the same page, even if we're not on the same page. They don't have to know that, but
you'll get on the same
but
page.
we're going to get on the same page, and we're going to do it as a team rather than, what our own parenting skills are.
I feel like sometimes Kyle, because I am typically the heavier hand, like he'll be looking at me, he's got like big old eyes going, like telling me like behind Hayden's back, like just simmer down a little bit. I'm like, okay, I got it. So he will do that. And it's helpful for me because sometimes I get like
worked up.
Yeah. Like my dad had high expectations of me from the time I was young, like just really, really, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I have that in me. And sometimes I expect way too much from a 9-year-old. And so I need Kyle, because he's very much like, hey, let her go. Unless it's like when she was little, I remember she would take forever to put her socks on. And Kyle's like, oh my gosh, I just need to put your socks on. I can't do this. So he wasn't very patient with that, but he's very patient pretty much in all aspects of life.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like,
and
I just want to get this over with. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, let her do it.
Yes, I struggle with patience in every other aspect. And so that's where he's kind of like, just,
Yeah, it's a problem because there's not much that like annoys me.
Yeah.
Like
He's
with
very
Hayden,
easy.
I'll let her do whatever, as long as you're not like damaging something or like doing something completely weird. But like Shauna is pretty strict
pretty
in that,
strict, yeah.
like,
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, dude.
and it's hard.
It is hard but I tell you, balancing that out, it makes it better though.
It does.
Because
It's
if you
so
had two
helpful.
guys or two parents that were similar, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, and like I have so much respect for Kyle, like as a dad and as a husband and as a person. And he, like, before we had Hayden, we had some trouble, with conceiving her and all that kind of stuff. And he just wanted a baby so bad. Like he just wanted to be a parent so bad. And so I knew he was going to be like really good at it. And I'm like, okay, God gave me an incredible helper to do this with. And so I need to listen when he's, correcting me and telling me, hey, like simmer down a little bit. Cause I know I get like too hot to trot and just, it's not good.
I kind of developed it was the joke with our friends that I was kind of a creeper because I wanted to be a parent so bad. I'm like, no, I just want to be a dad. I'm
He
excited.
just loves kids and kids love him. That's
Well, I can tell you, as getting older too, like my kids are getting older. Different challenges are coming to the forefront now. It's like teenage years,
Oh,
which
boy.
we haven't dealt with, and it's isolation a little bit now.
take notes so when we get there.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's so hard to
help
deal
us.
with. And I know, here's what's crazy too. Jen, not too long ago, this wasn't within the last month, I want to say. You were like, you had a morning, I could tell, because you didn't even come to me about it. You just posted on Facebook and you just like spilt the beans on your struggles, what was going on, kind of. And I couldn't, I'm sure you couldn't either, but like this support and the amount of people that were like, oh, girl, I'm going through that too, or whatever.
Well,
Everybody, it's same as our walk, man.
Yeah.
It is. We all think that we're in this alone, like,
Yeah.
oh, we're the only ones dealing with this stage. Or
So
no,
true.
everybody is in this walk together, and that's why it's good to have a podcast like this because other people are probably in that phase, and oh, I'm alone here, but you're not.
Well, and that was the purpose of me posting it. Like I definitely thought about not doing it because I'm not one to air all my dirty laundry and put everything out on Facebook.
It did not come across like that at all. It was so good.
But I just really wanted people to know because I feel like social media can be such a highlight reel for people's lives. And there are so many people out there struggling with parenting specifically. And I've really done a lot of self-reflection lately because I let parenting consume me. I really do. And I'm going to try not to cry.
You're good.
Because it's a lot. But
It is a lot.
I just worry so much about my kids. Probably too much, and I just want them to grow up and be happy and healthy. And sometimes those things don't go hand in hand. I was actually listening to a podcast Dustin sent me a couple weeks ago. I don't remember which one it was.
Focus on the Family.
Focus on the Family.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And there was a guy on there talking about parenting and specifically teenagers. And he said something like, unhappy kids are actually healthy kids.
Yeah.
Because they're not always going to be happy and they shouldn't always be happy. And I think I struggle with that. And I struggle.
Which we just sat down and had a conversation with our kid. It was days before this.
Yeah.
And literally the first question out of your mouth was,
Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Yeah.
And what can we do to make you happy? You know what I mean? And then I heard that and I'm like, oh, I got to send this off.
I gotta send it, yeah.
And it was like, our kid, it ain't our job to make our kids happy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. And I was just going to say, I feel like I also came to Dustin a couple weeks ago because I've been really struggling with this as a parent and it consuming me and me constantly worrying about my kids. And that I think I needed to seek somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And actually one of my clients actually brought that to my attention because as a hairdresser, I talk to people all day long. And I've told Dustin that before too, because I'll come to him and I'll say, we'll talk about something we're struggling with our kids. And I think he struggles thinking our kids are the only ones that act like this, or our kids are the only ones that do these things, because he doesn't have these conversations at work. And I have conversations with my clients all the time about my parenting struggles. And so I feel like I get a little bit of that feedback and, don't feel as alone by it. But then I realized I was kind of turning my work into my therapy.
Oh, sure.
And I didn't want to do that either because I want to go in and I don't want to lay all this on my clients, even though I have the most wonderful clients in the world, and I've done a lot of their hair for 15, 20 years, and we've done life together. But one of my clients actually said to me, Jen, I think it'd be really healthy for you to find somebody to talk to. Yeah. And her and I have had a lot of conversations because I've done her hair since she was in college, and we've gone through marriages and babies together. And actually we went through a tornado together. So we always joke about being trauma bonded. But she said she actually just went to school for social work, and she said she had never really gone and seen or talked to anybody. And she's like, when she graduated and she started taking patients and clients, she was like, oh man, maybe I need somebody to talk to. And she was telling me she started seeing somebody about a year ago. And she said, Jen, it is life changing. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like I can't wait. I have my first appointment in a couple of weeks, and I'm really excited about it because I feel like just having an unbiased party, because sometimes I feel like I talk to Dustin and we can talk about a lot of things. But it's nice to just have somebody that you feel like you can lay it out to, who doesn't know your family, doesn't know your kids, and can give you a good,
different
healthy
perspective
on
sure.
things, for sure.
Well, and I don't think it's sometimes healthy for even marriages to put it all on the husband or the wife in that aspect. They're not meant to carry everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It is good to get help and seek help and talk to a counselor or whatever it is. But yeah, I was super proud of you when you came to me and and said that. That was
so good.
Because, I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, it's hard to sit there and go, yeah, I want to go get help and talk about stuff like this. So that's
because I don't think it's healthy how much I put my kids before everything in life. Like I put them before Dustin, and I will admit that. And I probably, sadly, put them before God sometimes, because there's times that I, like I said, want to make them happy and want to make them successful and want them to do all the things that they want to do. And it goes before our faith sometimes. It goes before my husband sometimes. And I just know that's not the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's healthy to sort that out.
For sure. And it's frustrating too to have that level of love for someone. Yeah. And feel like, either it's they don't understand how much you love them, and they look at you as like you're a burden, or you're like hindering what they're trying to do, or like unloving. Yeah. And it's like you got that type of love where like you're putting them in the wrong priorities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I tell Boston that all the time, because there's so many times he gets frustrated with us when we tell him no or take something away or get on him about his grades. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. We're not doing this to hurt you. We're doing it because we love you so much that we just want the best for you. And we know you can do better, and we want you to do better. And that's hard for him to understand. Another thing that's really hard for him to understand is how different our kids are. And the way we discipline him is not going to be the way that we discipline Evie. Yeah. Sure. And that's really hard for him to understand right now, because every time we say, all right, at Boston, we're going to limit your electronics or this. Well, why don't you do that to Evie? Or, hey, Boston, can you take out the garbage? Well, why don't you make Evie take out the garbage? And we try to explain to him, and someday he'll understand. But like, you can't parent any two kids the same way. Right. And that's a really tough struggle when they feel like it's unfair.
Yeah. Sure. And I'll say to your first comment, I mean, that's what I was talking about earlier about God is our Father. Yeah. There's stuff that happens in our lives as Christians that we don't understand. Yeah. And we don't know why, or we're like, why is this happening? Why didn't you answer this prayer? Or why didn't this happen in this way, the way we think it should happen? And it's so similar to parenting now. Like they don't understand sometimes why you're disciplining them or taking something away or just getting on them about something. And in the long run, they will. And that's the way I see Christianity is our Father in heaven. Yeah. One day we will understand and we will know honestly, why he did what he did. Like
I didn't fully understand God's love and really what it was like until I became a parent. Yeah. Because it just puts it in a whole new perspective. And honestly, that's what Boston, Evie, Hayden, that's what they don't have perspective. And we do as far as when it comes to them and life and the limited amount of perspective that we have. But God has this overarching perspective, you know, and he's an eternal God, the beginning and the end. Yes. He has that perspective. So he knows what little thing that we think is so huge here, he knows the end of it. He knows what good is coming out of it, and how we're just passing through this life, and it's just
a blip.
It's a blip.
Yes.
And everything is so big to us. And,
It is.
And he has the perspective of eternity, and it's hard to comprehend, but that's the mindset that we almost have to have is like,
Way
hey, this
easier
life
said
ain't
than
forever,
done.
man. Like we're living in eternity. We're here to live the best that we can for Jesus here on earth, bring heaven down to earth, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's our purpose here. But we get so caught up in life and caught up with the little problems, and we forget, like, this is, hey, man, we're just passing through.
Yeah.
And we don't have that perspective.
No.
And so when you,
And think about that. Our brains are developed. Like we
Yeah,
don't have
right.
that.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I still remember being a little bit older teenager and realizing that my parents are people outside of being my parents. Like they have friends, they have lives, but when you're growing up, like your parents, at least to me, it just felt like they existed for me. And that's like what you're saying, Jen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes we put ourselves too much in that stance, just existing for our kids or even existing for our spouse
Yeah.
or whatever, like Kyle was saying, getting our priorities out of order. But, I do remember like just that realization, like, oh my gosh, like my mom is somebody outside of just being my mom. And I just remember gaining that respect. Like it was just a new level of respect for her that I had for sacrificing so much as a mom and as a parent. And so someday, like Boston, especially, I know he will appreciate that. He will.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's what I was going to say. How often do children grow up to be adults and go back to their parents and say, thank you
so
Yeah.
much.
Thank
Yes.
you, and I understand
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
holy cow, you were right. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I know I haven't with my dad.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm
Maybe
just
someday.
thinking, like Hayden, like I just was talking to her the other day. I'm like, honey, because she had a misstep or whatever, and I'm like, you can come to Dad and I, and we will work something out. Like whatever it is that you're scared to tell us, or whatever it is, like there's nothing on this planet ever that you could do that would make us not love you. Like
Yeah.
you can come to your dad and I, and we might have to compromise. It might not be everything that we want. It might not be everything that you want, but we can land somewhere in the middle and figure out a solution for whatever it is that you're going through. Like use us as a resource. Like
Yes.
we've grown up with parents. We've gone through struggles. We have all this stuff.
Use us, yes.
Exactly. And God put us here for this purpose to help you. Like what we're trying to do is help you. And I mess up all the time, and I have to say sorry all the time. And I do. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Hayde. I lost it. That was not fair, And she's like, that's okay, Mom. Like she's very forgiving, thankfully, because I do screw it up so much. But just talking to them, like it's my favorite, like at bedtime or on a random car ride. Those seem to be like the two times where she just will start just blah. And like, she's such a great little person. Like, I love hearing about things from her
Yes.
perspective. And she'll be like, oh, this is, that's Cap. Like, she just, and I'm like, how do you even know these words? And she'll be like, am I right? Or like something like that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So they are just, I don't know, great little people. And it's hard when we're so stuck in our parenting, like tunnel vision, just to realize that they too, just because they're younger than us, they're still people that deserve respect.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think sometimes even right down to like if she's in the middle of a video and I'm like, hey, turn that off and go brush your teeth. Like I've had to retrain myself to say, hey, how much longer does that have? And if it's not too long, I'm like, why don't you finish it and then go do it? Cause like me, if somebody told me to turn something off in the middle of something, I'd be like, can I finish it?
Excuse me?
Yeah. And so like, I think there's even little ways that we as adults, sometimes we just put our thumb down.
Yeah.
Like we're way too harsh where we could compromise a little bit. And then that teaches them and helps them for later on in life.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
And then the other thing that we have done too, which has been really helpful, is like, we don't just tell her something and, well, why? Because I told you to, you know,
'cause
like
I
that.
said so. That was a
and,
big one. For
and
me.
so we explain why. Like, just because she's 9 doesn't mean she can't comprehend the reasons why.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And that came 100% from Shauna.
Hey, wait
'Cause-
till they're 13 with that.
Yeah.
No.
You'll explain why, and then it'll still be, well, why? You didn't still
That's
didn't
not
explain
good
it.
enough.
Yeah. Well, right now,
Eye roll city.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it's in Hayden's innocence or something, but like, it's crazy how that actually works,
She
and
usually
she
takes it, she's like,
understands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, that's
Makes
why.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dang it.
Sometimes she'll
yeah.
be like, like do like a little head nod or something. We're like, okay,
yeah,
she
it's
gets
funny,
it.
man.
So there's one thing that I did want to talk about on this, and then I kind of moved to something else. I got a question for both of you, the Preslars.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to get with that, Jen's kind of putting me was quit comparing your children, because that's what I kind of fault to that a little bit, where
Sure.
I'll compare to other children or compare Abby to Boston. And it's just not fair to them.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I know, I'll be like, man, I don't ever see kids do this. And she's sitting there like, how many kids do you go watch? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
you're
good
not paying
point.
attention to other kids when they're
Idiot.
interacting.
Like, what do you-
Very many.
But yeah, don't compare your children, man, because
Yeah.
I feel like you can go down a bad
good.
road doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But my question to you two is, so you guys have mainly Shauna, I believe, have been homeschooling
Yeah.
Hayden, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So explain that process, because obviously our kids are in public schools,
Sure.
which is a little sketch sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. And it's, even, man, that's a struggle, because we don't have that time.
Sure.
We'd have to, one of us would have to quit
Be a
our job.
sacrifice.
100%.
Definitely.
Like it's a sacrifice.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly what you said. And I feel like we've talked about it periodically, but we know it's probably not realistic in our life. But I'm just curious, do you guys in that step, I mean, it's been a big commitment, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
How have you seen that paid off, even at a young age?
Sure. Well, so I ended up homeschooling through high school because we moved away. We moved to Tennessee when I was 13 or 14. And my dad gave me the option to try homeschooling. And I actually really loved it. Like, I got all my stuff done in the morning, had time to mess with the horses, whatever. And so when we moved back 2 years later, even though I went to public school here in Michigan, I could have jumped back in, but I actually stayed homeschooling, and it worked out because I met Kyle. He was a little bit older than me. And so when he was home from college and stuff, we could hang out, and everybody remembers me in high school. I just had my school bag with me wherever I went. And so that for me was like my first experience with homeschooling. I was like, actually, it's pretty great. Like, my dad enrolled me in a program where I had not 24/7, but business day access to a tutor. And so he didn't really have to feel the responsibility of teaching me or anything like that, but I had help when I needed it. So that was a big load off of him. But the benefit of my situation was I had public school, like homeschooling was such a stigma for like a long time, right? Like, oh, these kids are
When we were
dorks
young.
or they're not socialized or whatever it is. And so when I brought that up to Kyle once we, had Hayden and we were kind of thinking about it. It was also COVID. And so we weren't even sure if school was going to be happening or if it was going to be virtual or whatever. And Hayden, we were blessed to be able to send her to Noah's Ark preschool, just small class sizes, but they did a ton of stuff outside. And she did that for 3 years and absolutely loved it. So I was kind of nervous to do the homeschooling thing because she thrived in the classroom
In the
type setting.
Yeah.
And he was really nervous too because he's like, I
I
wanted to
wasn't
do
nervous. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
First
I was like,
hardcore.
no, we're not homeschooling.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay.
Really?
Yes.
I
was
did not know that.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And so, I just kept praying about it and it would come up in conversation. He's like, what about sports and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, there's club sports for everything. I'm like, there really is, especially now these days, there is so much for
Post-COVID,
homeschooling.
for sure.
Yes,
I feel
exactly.
like there's been a ton.
And so I don't actually even know how, Kyle, you came around
Well,
to
honestly,
being okay with it.
every stigma thing,
Yeah.
that was me. Like, she's not going to be socialized
Yeah.
correctly. Organized sports is such a huge thing in a kid's life. You learn like life lessons through organized sports
true.
and stuff. And so I was thinking about all those things. And we just have so many friends in our life, like close relationships
in our
that
circle.
homeschool. And there's homeschool co-ops.
So
and
many opportunities.
we just had so much. And Shauna started looking into it all. And I don't know, I just got to the point, and it was around all the social justice movement and like everything that's going on with that and everything I'm seeing at work. And it wasn't long and it wasn't hard for me to switch my stance on that.
Yeah.
Because I was just, there's a lot of craziness out there, man. And I want Hayden to learn about life's lessons but I'd rather it come from us.
Sure.
And I feel like there's some control there to where like, I'm going to teach her the things. I'm not going to shy away from the world. I'm not going to shelter her from anything, but I would like to control and be able to tell her things in a way that I know that she's going to understand and know what right and wrong is and stuff, and not learn it from some, some other
stranger
means.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a saying like, you don't put a heavy load on the concrete before it's set, and so that's kind of like what we're doing right now. We're hopefully like setting Hayden's foundations to be super solid, because the world's going to catch up with her at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it already does. Like the stuff she knows and hears, being a Christian homeschooled girl, like it's everywhere. Like
it is,
all this
man.
stuff, we're never going to escape it. And so
And it's
homeschooling,
technology, phones, it's all that
exactly,
stuff. It
yes.
is.
And the other thing is Kyle's schedule has always been kind of a sticky wicket for us. Like if Hayden went to public school, like she would be gone before Kyle wakes up, and he would be gone before she got home. So she would
Golly.
never see her dad.
Yeah.
And that is a no-go for them, because it's a no-go for anyone, but especially when they're tight, like they're super close. And I don't think Hayden would thrive at all in an environment when she only got to see him for a few hours on the weekend. And so a lot of those decisions went into, it for us. And I was fairly comfortable. I had, like Kyle said, a good base of homeschool families around us. And then just from my experience. And so we just jumped in, and honestly, I love it. Like, bedtime has always been my favorite, bath time, just those times when we're just hanging out and like schooling her, just seeing her like catch on to things and light up, and just to see kind of like what her gifts are and what she's good at. Like she freaking rocks math, but reading she struggled with for a while, but now she's kind of starting to come into her own, and she's rocking that too. And it's teaching me like, everybody goes at a different pace.
They
you know what I
do.
mean? And that's
Yes.
like public school. I feel like things are so standardized
It is.
sometimes. And I feel like maybe homeschooling was part of our journey just for her reading. Like I wouldn't have wanted her to fall behind or not get the help that she needed, just spending extra time and all that kind of stuff. And I know there's tons of great teachers and programs and all that stuff. Like, I think there's so many. The school district that we're in is fantastic, but they just had like a gun with, somebody brought a gun to school or whatever. And now they're having to take phones. So like nobody can call their parents and all this stuff. And I'm like, if Hayden would have been at school today, I would have been freaking out,
Right.
So yeah, just a lot of, I guess, how our schedule is and personal feelings and stuff. We had a lot to chat about, but somehow we came around and agreed on the homeschooling thing.
And let's be honest, Shauna makes that happen though. Like she has it scheduled to a T. We have a calendar. Everything is mapped out for the entire year. She makes sure that everything is done each day. And she's smart enough to teach Hayden to do it. Because I can tell you, I've stepped in a few.
We'll see.
I've stepped in a few times to help.
Hayden's like,
homeschool.
where's mom at, Dad?
She does. She'll
Dude,
call me.
I
or
can't
text
tell you
me.
how many times she's like, that's not how mom does it. And I'm just like, I don't care. This is how dad does it. So,
Deal with it.
And then I'm sitting there like kind of going to the side, Googling stuff. Cause like, I don't know simple things sometimes. Like
I'll tell you,
we
dude,
did
the
that over COVID.
kids bring homework home, and I'm telling you, I don't know if I'm just dumb and don't remember this stuff,
Well,
but it's taught differently
It is, and I
than
think
when I
that's-
was in school.
I think that's part of the problem is I've looked at so much of math specifically, so much of Evie's math homework, and I'm like, well, I can tell you how to get the right answer, but I don't know if
It's
that's
not
how
how
you're
they
being
want
taught.
you to do it. Yeah. That's
And
crazy.
it is interesting. And going back to, you were talking about just
Learning different.
the learning differences, and that's why we kind of have touched base with it a little bit. Is Boston thrives in public school. He loves being there. He is fine in the standardized classrooms.
Yep.
He's good with the big groups of people. And Evie, she is so smart and she knows so many things, but she just struggles being with big groups of people. She needs a lot of one-on-one attention. And that's where we had considered it. And that's what's been hard for us, is like, she's had some wonderful teachers over the years, but those wonderful teachers have 26 kids in their class that they're trying
in there
to,
for 1 year.
and they have them for 1 year. Yeah. And then the next year you're moving on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it has been a struggle, and it has been really hard. And it's interesting to hear your perspective on that, because
Yeah.
I do really,
Yeah.
like, I never thought, Dustin and I both went to public schools. I don't know many, we weren't around a lot of homeschooled kids.
Sure.
And to be perfectly honest, the ones I did know, I thought were weird.
Exactly. That's not uncommon. And honestly, it's a daunting task. Like,
Yeah.
I remember feeling scared
Yeah.
of teaching Hayden how to read.
Yeah.
And then she struggled. So I'm like, well, I
on
freaked that
me.
up, you
Yeah.
know, like, dang it.
Dude,
And yeah.
let's be honest. There's a lot of weird people in public
In
school.
general. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, everybody
Yeah.
remembers the weird kid in class. And if you don't, it was probably
Well,
you,
and now,
right?
and now there's
so-
furries in the classroom.
Oh my
God.
Oh,
in
we're
public
not getting on
school.
that.
much
We're not doing this. We're not talking about that. I will say, because I'm going to switch subject right now. I will say that kids do learn at a different pace,
Yeah.
like
They
you
do.
were saying. They do.
100%.
Yeah.
Because Boston and Evie are totally different.
Yep.
They learn totally different. They learn
Yep.
in different ways.
Yep.
Like you said, the more one-on-one attention for Evie. And we've learned over the years, like Jen's had to be Evie's, and I say me too, but she does a lot of it. She's Evie's advocate at school.
Sure.
Like she's all over
You
the
have
schools
to.
and the teachers
Yeah.
to get the help that she needs in classrooms, because it's like she said, it's a lot of kids. It's a big classroom. They have a lot to worry about. They can't just single out one kid and just, okay, I'm going to focus on just her. Like it don't happen that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you need help, or there's tons of help in the public schools, but
Well, I'll say too, like, I have so much respect for teachers,
Yes.
like any teacher
Oh,
in general,
yes.
because like I am so worried just with my one, and she's my own. So if she's messed up, at least it's me that did it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, teachers are insane. Like,
yeah.
cannot give enough of a hats off to them.
they
'cause
don't get enough credit,
No,
that's for
and
sure.
and I actually took her last year. She had a reading tutor who's a public school teacher in our school district near us, and she was incredible. Like, helped Hayden so much, and the co-ops are big too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that have academic days, enrichment days. They have all sort of club sports. Hayden's in a drama and improv class, loves it. They have like ukulele, like gymnastics, all this crazy stuff. And so there are so many like resources out there now, and that gets her out of the house for a whole day, and she's
Around other kids.
kids. She's under authority of several different teachers, and she loves it. And a lot of those teachers that teach at that co-op have like education backgrounds. They have degrees and all that kind of stuff in public education. So there's room for all of it.
Yeah,
there
for
really
sure.
is. You just have to figure out what fits best for your family.
is.
Well, and
It
going
is.
back to the teachers, and that's what I struggled with, I think, the first few years that Evie was in school, was that, like you said, teachers are so incredible, and I have so much appreciation for them, and I know what their workload is like. So for the first couple of years, I would reach out and say, hey, I'm really worried about this, or I'm really worried about that. And they'd get back to me, and I'd kind of be like, oh, but they're so busy. I don't want to put another thing on them.
Yeah.
And then when she got to the point where it was just, she was falling further and further behind, and I felt like she wasn't getting the attention she needed, I reached out to her third grade teacher. Shout out to Miss Black, because she's incredible and Evie adores her. But I think I scared her at the beginning of the year, because
Sure.
as soon as I got that teacher letter in the mail, I sent her an email, and she told me several times throughout the school year that she was a little freaked out by having me and Evie in her classroom, because, but I told her, I said, I will be a squeaky wheel.
Yeah,
If I have to be,
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
you have to advocate for your kids. And I learned that quickly. If you don't, they can only do so much, and nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And you have to push for your kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
You really
it's not
do.
going to get done.
Yep.
Yeah,
good,
I
man.
agree with that.
Well, I think maybe we just pray for parents.
Amen.
Amen to that, dude. Because parenting's tough, and
And
you're
kids.
not in it alone.
Yeah.
We're all in it.
No.
We're all in it.
You comfortable, Shauna?
Yeah.
Let's
for
do
sure.
it.
All right.
Yeah. Lord, thanks so much for this time. Thank you for this discussion and for these friends. And I do just pray for parents out there, any parents who are listening, just know that you're not alone, that there's a whole community of people out there who are in the same or similar situation. And kids, they grow up and they have their own personalities. And I feel like oftentimes it's just different than what we expected or what we were hoping for them. But we just have to realize that God has them. He really does. And especially if we're, trying to raise them up in that way, the Lord will bring them back around eventually to whatever it is that He has for them. And so thank you for this. Thank you for this time. Bless the parents that are listening, God. We love you so much. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen and amen.